Good morning to the expert and the all participants present in this session. So it's the time to start with the session two of day two for the online faculty development program on advanced construction technology. So the expert for this session is Mr. Shakun Vaidya. So let me take the privilege to introduce Mr. Vaidya ji. Mr. Shakun Vaidya is a graduate civil engineer, class of 1994, heading the Customer Technical Services Division of JK Cement Limited. Having a total experience of more than 25 years as a professional and technocrat with varied experience of construction chemicals, cement and concrete. In the past, he has served organizations like Sika, Grasim Industries, L&T, Lafarge, JP Cement, Dalmia Cement, and now he is serving as a national head customer technical services as assistant vice president in JK Cement Limited grade division. We also welcome engineer Dinesh Sharma ji, zonal head North 2, customer technical services JK Cement Limited grade division, and engineer Amit Kumar Agarwal, state head Punjab, customer technical services JK Cement Limited grade division. So now I request Mr. Shakun Vaidya ji to kindly start with his session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us on this knowledge sharing platform. So I thank Department of Civil Engineering, Gyani Zal Singh College of Engineering and Technology. Uh, Today's topic is very relevant, and the overall theme of this faculty development program, also advanced construction technology, is very relevant. More so for professionals and companies like us who are associated with cement, concrete, and construction practices. So as part of customer technical services, we day in day out are in the process of educating people and conducting workshops from them and sharing such knowledge sharing initiatives and platforms where we tend to share knowledge of the latest happenings in the construction field, as well as the correct construction practices and selection of raw material, etc. So today, not taking much time, today my presentation is on sustainability and role of blended cements. A very relevant and evergreen topic, I would say. We come from cement industry, so yes, cement industry also emits carbon dioxide into the air, and it is our endeavor to bring down this carbon footprint so that we are more sustainable and green. So the presentation is on various blended cements, how blended cements work, and some of the latest development happening on this blended cement category. This variant is very interesting. We are having PPC and PSC in the east and south, which is a common variant now. But latest developments have now, also done a lot of research on cements like composite cement and LC3, which is a calcined cement. So a lot of development on this front is taking place to bring down the clinker percentage, to bring down the carbon footprint. So this presentation is all about this. I'll share my presentation. Give me a second.
Ji sir, there is option present now available.
Is it visible? Is the first slide visible?
No, sir. Slides are not visible, sir.
Give me a second.
It's visible, sir. It's visible.
Okay. So
Full
I
screen
believe
need to
there's
be done,
some.
sir.
Sir, please open in full view, sir.
This is the full view now.
You have to adjust from your own devices for full view.
No, sir. Actually, presentation view is to be opened from the left bottom.
It is a presentation view on my screen, but
So this
give me a
small
second
cup,
then.
the small cup, you click it on the small cup.
Actually, sir, the screen you shared with us, that is the main presentation, PowerPoint screen, and full screen is not shared yet. That is why not visible to us. You can share, sir, entire screen so that every screen will be visible to the
Give me a
participants.
second. Huh?
Right, sir. Right, sir. Right, sir.
Google. F5 से नहीं आता है.
Sir, in the sharing now option, please select your entire screen so that whatsoever window you will open,
Okay,
that will
got
be
it.
visible. Yes, sir.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Okay. And now I have switched over to the second slide. Is the second slide also visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sustainability. Sustainability.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I'll not taking much time. I'll start now. So the topic today is sustainability and blended cements, and I welcome all participants. And so sustainability, it has become a very relevant topic now. And what is sustainability? Sustainability, if we go by the definition, is development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So this is the common definition of sustainability known to every one of us. So so what is the future of construction? Future of construction has to be green. It has to be a balance between cement energy consumption and energy reduction. Consumption is the environmental impact of many business activities. For cement, it is emission of carbon dioxide because we produce a lot of clinker. And reduction is through promotion of eco-friendly products and services, so that this carbon emission is brought down. So green architecture is an attempt to safeguard the natural resources like air, water, earth by choosing eco-friendly building materials and eco-friendly construction practices. So why green architecture? Industrial revolution is powered by fossil fuel, the combustion of which has pushed the environment loading of carbon dioxide to a level which is causing change in the global climate. So it is an alarming situation as of now. And how do we address this? So not a very sustainable way of doing business, but yes, in today's era, we continue to run businesses for short-term benefits with no attention on environmental and other consequences arising out of this activity. So not a very sustainable way of doing business, but yes, if we consider cement and concrete, so requirement of high strength concrete. Am I audible?
Ji sir, you are audible. All participants, please keep your mic in mute mode.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
slides are not moving. That from third slide onwards.
Ma'am, it's moving. Maybe there is network issue in your device. It's moving. Now the slide is opened. That is crisis of durability, right, sir?
Yes, that's right.
Yes,
It
yes,
is
it's open, sir.
crisis of durability. So probably, bandwidth issue, some of the participants might be having net issues. That's the reason. There's a lag between, transmission and receiving the reception. So as I was discussing, high strength concrete, requirement has been for ages now, resulting into, a lot of production of OPC. This scenario changed in early 90s when the cement industry, I would say, switched over partially from OPC to blended cement variants like PPC and PSA. And durability of concrete prepared with the high strength cements, OPC 53, 43, has in a way, tarnished the image of concrete as a maintenance-free construction material. Concretes produced with ordinary Portland cements are poor in durability, and this has been established. In India too, we face durability issues quite severe in coastal areas, industrial belts, urban areas, where the aggressive environment exists, and which accelerates deterioration of concrete. So this challenge is there in our own country. And how is the cement industry, addressing this? I'll let you know in the coming slides. So what is cement? Cement is a glue which binds, everything together. So technically speaking, hydraulic cement produced by pulverizing clinker, consisting essentially of hydraulic calcium silicates, usually containing one or more form of calcium sulfate as an interground addition. A material with adhesive, a commonly known definition is a material with adhesive and cohesive properties, which make it capable of bonding mineral fragments into a monolithic mass as a whole. So if we consider concrete has to be, casted monolithically, and concrete is where the entire load of a structure comes, and 70% of the cement gets consumed in concrete. Concrete is important because it is one of the most consumed materials on earth after the consumption of water. And famously, it is also said that it is also one of the most revolutionary inventions which have taken place after the invention of fire and wheel. So concrete is very important. All structural members are built with the concrete. So it is imperative that we produce concrete with eco-friendly materials which are far more durable and long-lasting. So, typical type of cements as per IS 456-2000, we have OPC grades of 33, 43, 53. Now, this has also changed. The IS number is now IS 269 for 43 as 53 as well. So, it is IS 269 33, IS 269 43, and IS 269 53 now. And then we have other variants, but the most widely used material is PPC, Portland Pozzolana cement. And then in east and parts of south, we have slag cement. And the most latest, variant is composite cement, which has not been enlisted here in IS 456-2000, the latest edition of IS 456. But we have a BIS code for that, so it is also there. And apart from there, some special type of cements are also there. So considering typically the Indian market, what's the breakup of the cement usage, if we say? So OPC, which was 90 to 100%. If we consider era before 1990, say, and post that, now it is PPC. So PPC is a binary blend, I would say. blend between Portland cement and fly ash, which gives us silica, or PSC. It is also a binary blend, Portland cement mixed with slag, sourced from steel plants. And then the latest variant launched in India, composite cement. It is a ternary blend or a tertiary blend, we can say, which is a mixture of Portland cement mixed with PPC and PSC both put together. Then we have some special grades of cement, sulfate resistant Portland cement, oil well cement, super sulfonated cement, high alumina cement. These are very special cements required for specific requirements and constitutes to about 2 to 4%, manufactured on specific special orders, not as a practice. So mostly I would say is PPC, which is present through the length and breadth of the country and is one of the most popular variants of cement available right now. So, cement, as per, the constituents, the primary constituents of raw material necessary for producing Portland cement are calcium, silica, alumina, and iron. So, raw materials for producing clinker are limestone, majorly limestone, and then iron, alumina, or bauxite. And raw materials for producing cement obviously are clinker, mixed with gypsum. Gypsum will retard the setting time of the cement. So this is how cement is produced. And the oxide requirements, typical oxide requirements are that lime should be around 60-65%. In clinker, silica 20-25%, alumina 3 to 8, iron 2 to 4, and gypsum. Gypsum, as I told you, in the end we mix gypsum to retard the setting time. Unless and until this is not mixed, cement may set instantaneously. So this is just to retard the setting time, which facilitates easy usage of cement. So pozzolanic materials, are lime and silica-rich materials. Typically, it is silica only. In fly ash, it is silica, and in slag, it is lime as well as silica. But fly ash, it is silica-rich materials, and which reacts with cement and helps enhance its cementitious properties. They may not have cementitious properties on their own. And common sources are volcanic ash, burnt brickbats, clay, rice husk, fly ash from thermal power plants. So fly ash from thermal power plants in India is one of the major source of fly ash, where we get silica-rich fly ash, which is blended with cement. India, thermal plants are in abundance throughout the length and breadth of the country. So we have a lot of thermal plants where coal is burnt and energy is produced. So as a resultant, we get fly ash, which is brought to a good constructive use by the cement industry. These are the phases of clinker, and as is visible, C3S and C2S are the two major compounds which are responsible for the early strength. 1 to 7 days strength is solely responsible, C3S is responsible. So initially the gain of strength is very, very rapid in the initial 6-7 days. Then it tapers down and is almost 20 to balance is almost through C2S, and small fractions to C3A for high early strength and C4F as a flux. So what are supplementary cementitious materials? How do they benefit cement and concrete and results into durable structures? So Portland cement mixed with the water, typically this is how cement is used. So the resultant product is calcium hydroxide, COH, So too much of COH may result into making the concrete unsound. So the excess COH is reacts with the silica of the SCM, and it produces a byproduct which is known as a calcium silicate hydrate gel. This is the secondary reaction, and this calcium silicate hydrate gel, through the reaction produces a secondary glue, I would say, which further reinforces the concrete. The capillaries are choked, they are more refined with passage of time, and capillaries are absolutely blocked if the environment is conducive. So this is how typically a blended cement chemistry, if we say. So pozzolanic material plus calcium hydroxide plus water is CSH gel, which further reinforces the concrete and blocks voids, capillary pores, and lowers the permeability and increases durability. The challenge is only to lower the permeability of concrete. Finer the pores, refine the pores, lesser is the probability of the moisture or other chemicals reaching the embedded steel. So challenge is only that how to preserve the steel in RCC, because RCC we cannot think of building the structures which are built nowadays 100, 120, 150 storied high skyscrapers, long bridges of several kilometers, flyovers, busy highway intersections cannot be thought of without RCC. And RCC, the only challenge is that how to keep the embedded steel inside the concrete in a passive state so that it does not corrode and carbonation does not take place. So why blended cements? Blended cements, because as I told you, blended cements produces more durable concrete, and through blending with the supplementary cementitious materials. So fly ash and slag, as I told you earlier, are two most commonly used supplementary cementitious materials. And while slag is rich in lime, as you can see in Portland cement, it is high in rich in lime, and then silica is also there. In fly ash, you can see it is rich in silica but has less of lime and negligible lime quantity. In slag cement, it is rich both in lime as well as silica. So this is typical chemical oxides for various SCMs. So idealized models of concrete, you can see at the top OPC concretes made with the ordinary Portland cement is much more fragmented, and you can see concrete produced with fly ash or slag based cements. Much more refinement is there, and the concrete at 28 days appears to be much more dense and impervious. So this is how typically the refinement pore refinement should take place. And with passage of time, if the environment is conducive, it is it has been established worldwide that any design strength would achieve double the strength in 8 to 10 years if the environment is conducive. So M20 can achieve a strength of M40 and even higher with the blended cements if due care is taken. So role of blended cements in sustainable development. So why Portland pozzolana cement, slag cement, or now composite cement, which has been introduced in some part of India? So as I told you, though I belong to cement industry, but yes, cement industry is notorious for emitting a lot of carbon dioxide in the air. About 7% of the total carbon dioxide which is emitted is alone by the cement industry. Since it is a compulsion to produce cement, especially for rapidly developing countries like India. India, I don't know how many of you know that India is the second largest cement producer of the world after China. Though in terms of per capita consumption, we are still less, but yes, in terms of production, we are at number 2 in the world. So 1 ton of cement, emits almost equal amount of carbon dioxide into the air. And through the burning in kiln, CaCO3, the carbon dioxide is driven out, and the resultant what we get is CaO. So limestone is 80% of the raw material, as I showed in the earlier slides also. So as you know, limestone is required majorly to produce cement, and limestone is a natural resource, and the natural resources are depleting fast, and this is becoming a very scarce product. And at the present rate of consumption, we may end up exhausting our all limestone reserves in the next 40 to 50 years. So apart from limestone being in short supply, I would say we may exhaust in 40-50 years. Second challenge is, as I told you, in India, electricity is produced majorly through thermal plants, so we have a lot of fly ash in abundance. We also have steel in many parts of India, majorly east and south. So these are two products which otherwise cannot be used and can pose a environmental threat also, but are effectively utilized in cement. So cement industry is doing its bit by consuming a lot of fly ash and slag. So by producing blended cements, how are we reducing the global warming? CO2 emission can be brought down 25 to 50%. Fly ash utilization can be 60-70% can be utilized effectively. And limestone reserves, we can enhance the life of limestone reserves, which at present is 50 years to 100 years. If we opt to go for blended cements, where we require less of clinker. Less of clinker means less burning of limestone. Less burning of limestone means less burning of coal, and even lesser emission of carbon dioxide into the air. And yes, this has been proven worldwide that concretes produced with the blended cements are much more durable and long lasting vis-a-vis OPC. So this is a three-pronged strategy, I would say, that how do we achieve sustainable development by reducing carbon dioxide, by reducing the carbon dioxide emission, by preserving limestone, and by utilizing the fly ash and slag, which otherwise can be a huge threat to the environment. So, think green, live green, and go green is the mantra nowadays. Every cement company, they are thinking of how to reduce carbon dioxide and how to increase the how to become carbon dioxide negative in the coming years. The latest variant in this category is composite cement. Since PPC and PSC are known to everyone, were introduced long back. So now 3-4 years back, this new variant of blended cement, composite cement was launched. Though it is not available in this part of India, northern India, is becoming very popular in East India, where this was launched around 3 years back, when the BIS permitted the use of composite cement, and the code was also released. But still, since we do not have slag here in north and west, so producing composite cement as of now is a challenge. But yes, this is one of the very futuristic blend of cement, which uses fly ash as well as slag simultaneously with Portland cement. So it is, as I told you, this code was IS 16415. This was formed in 2015, released in 2016, and commercial production started somewhere in late 2017 in eastern part of India. This permits simultaneous use of fly ash and granulated blast furnace slag or GGBS, and NCCBM conducted a lot of studies on this, and investigation was carried out, and then this was granted permission. So since limestone is limited, so this is a very practical solution to bring down the limestone consumption, apart from other variants like PPC and PSC. So it is produced, composite cement is produced by intergrinding or intermixing of clinker, granulated slag, fly ash and gypsum. This will enhance sustainability and will reduce the clinker factor, and will also effectively use the byproducts such as fly ash and slag. So it is an all-rounder, you would say, because it has we can say that it has the toughness of steel and strength of silica. So slag, though is not steel, but is a byproduct of the steel industry, and the silica is very reactive. So it in a two-way, it has both the properties of PPC and PSC. So why this need of composite cement? Because we need to constantly upgrade ourselves. We need to identify, acknowledge the requirements of today, and it was launched to create a benchmark in this category. This led to a lot of research and developments, and enhanced variety of blended cement was launched. So composite cement, if we go by definition, is intimately ground mixture of OPC clinker, granulated slag and fly ash and gypsum. The permitted promotions as per IS 16415 are that clinker, varies, the proportion varies from 35 to 65%, cannot be less than 35, can go up to 65. So fly ash, the proportion is 15 to 35%, GGBS is 20 to 50%, but the combined blending of fly ash and slag cannot exceed 65%, on the lower side 35%. So this is the broad guideline given by Bureau of Indian Standards. So again, the same specification has been given here. So physical parameters of this cement almost matches the physical parameters of other variants such as PPC and PSC. I'll show you a chart in the coming slides. So it has to have a minimum fineness of 300 meters square per kg. It has to be sound. So 10 mm or autoclave 0.8 is the permitted value in percentage. and mm. Initial setting time, the time period after which the hardening should take place is 30 minutes. Final setting time is 600 minutes. This is the time when the paste or the concrete should ideally lose plasticity and start hardening. And compressive strength is common for all the variants, 3, 7, and 28 days. 16 MPa and 22 MPa and 33 MPa or 330 kgs per centimeter square is the compressive strength requirements similar to PPC and PSC, and drying shrinkage is 0.15. Chemical requirements, insoluble residue insoluble ratio is arrived by this formula where X is the declared percentage of fly ash. MgO makes the mix unsound, so this is the percentage given here. SO3 content, sulfide sulfur, loss on ignition, to arrive at the impurities which are present in the cement. This is also indication of the fly ash which is present. So this is 5%. And chloride content is very important to track. 0.1 for normal concrete and 0.05 for pre-stressed concrete. This is very important because this initiates corrosion. And alkali content 0.6 is the permitted percentage, similar to the slag cement. So in a nutshell, comparison between PSC, PPC and composite, if we say, so you can see that it is almost similar, barring the chemical requirements where we do not mix fly ash. So this X factor is not there in PSC. Otherwise, other parameters are almost similar. So the only requirement of a cementitious, supplementary cementitious material is that it has to be rich in silica, or it has to be rich in lime, or it has to be rich in both lime and silica. So this table was earlier also displayed. So slag should be rich in lime and silica both, and fly ash rich in silica. So OPC properties and its suitability. So ordinary Portland cement, the compounds C3S and C2S should be around 48, 58 and 50 to 25%. So these are the major two compounds which enables the cement to gain earlier strength, 1 to 7 days C3S and 7 days and beyond up to 28 days C2S. So high C3S and high C3A clinker cements are suitable for ideally suitable for blended cements, especially composite cement. So blast furnace slag, granulated blast furnace slag, the quality and the variation. As I told you, these are tests conducted on various slags from different sources. But yes, it has to be rich in lime and silica, and the ratio of lime to silica should ideally be more than 0.9. So this sort of slag is suitable for blending. Then fly ash has to be rich in silica. So these are the various fly ashes where tests were conducted. So it varies from around 40 to 60%. Higher the silica content, more reactive the fly ash is. So has to be rich in silica as well as alumina. So in composite cement, it is a futuristic blend of slag and silica. So it has that we can say that pH balance technology where shortage of calcium hydroxide, if it is totally consumed in PPC, may result in lowering of the pH value, which should not go beyond 12, which may initiate corrosion. And while slag excess of lime may also result into leaching and free lime and alkali silica reaction. So composite cement is a mixture of both, where the shortcomings of PPC and PSC have been taken well care in this futuristic tertiary blend, where the pH value of 12-13 would be maintained for a longer period of time, thus ensuring that the reinforced concrete, the reinforcement or the embedded steel in concrete remains in a passive state for a longer period of time. So angular particles of slag and spherical particles of fly ash also provides a better packing density. Heat of hydration is also on the lower side. This is a very, very critical requirement, especially in mass concreting works. So as you can see that, OPC, it is the maximum. That's the reason, this is not considered a very sustainable product now, because more heat of hydration means, more formation of capillaries and pores and ultimately pervious concrete. So as is visible, both in 28 days as well as 7 days, composite is the least, and PPC and PSC are also equally efficient vis-a-vis OPC cement. So chloride attack, as I told you, this will corrode the steel. So chloride diffusion test is conducted, and has been noted that SRPC, which again is a OPC cement, it is 100%, is 100. OPC is around 44, 45, and you can see that, OPC with GGBS, OPC with fly ash, it is also less. So NCGB carried out, detailed investigation on resistance to chloride penetration, as was shown earlier, and there was a remarkable improvement in the compressive strength in composite cement concretes at a later stage. And the synergetic effect of addition of fly ash and GGBS together gave this benefit of having a better strength at a lateral stage. And the synergic benefit of both GGBS and silica particles of fly ash and slag gives a better packing density as well. So a lot of publications published stories about composite cement vis-a-vis other variants, and obviously this is an established fact that it is better than OPC. This was also given in the Government of India issued a public procurement order where composite cement was also introduced some time back. So, addition of fly ash and slag impact the properties of cement. This is applicable to both PPC, PSC, all the varieties of cement. So these are very good varieties of blended cements. So how does it help? It gives better workability, optimized setting, very good compressive strength, lower drying shrinkage, better sulfate resistance for areas like sewage treatment plants or areas which are prone to chemical attacks, and prevention of alkali aggregate reaction, especially in hilly areas where the aggregate is reactive, a reduction in carbonation, resistance to freezing and thawing effect for areas where there is sub-zero temperatures, and lower permeability with high durability. Lower the permeability, higher the durability. This is a thumb rule. So yes, we need to make the concrete more and more impervious and lower the permeability of the concrete as much as we can, because in absence of capillaries and pores, the embedded steel would be corrosion free for many, many years. So low carbon footprint, less power consumption, low heat of generation, reduction of thermal cracking, reduced bleeding, environmental friendly structures, all can be achieved with blended cements. So applications, it can be practically used for any application, mass concreting, so it is ideally suitable. Commercial, industrial, residential products, high-rise buildings, submerged underground structures, again, ideally fit for, for aggressive environments, dam, deep foundations, bridges, flyovers, marine structures, excellent behavior with respect to chloride penetration resistance. So blended cements have been, recommended all over India for all the DMRC projects for, underground structures. So fly ash and slag are, complementing each other. They are complementary. So incremental use of slag in place of fly ash shows a reduction in water demand. So we achieve better workability at a lower water cement ratio, resulting into high strength. Composite cement, by way of intermixing shows better properties. Ideal clinker should be, with the C3S content of 50% and C3A content of around 8%. Composite cement have shown low heat of hydration. Composite cement with a clinker factor of more than 50% will exhibit better results in terms of sulfate resistant and alkali aggregate. So in terms of sulfate resistance and alkali aggregate reaction, we need to ensure that composite cement has a clinker factor of 50%, and we should not go to the permissible limit of 65% replacement of clinker. So highlights of this blended variant of cement, better packing density, as I told you, controlled particle size distribution. Then cement is good when the maximum particles fall in between 3 to 30 microns. So it has a controlled particle size distribution as well. Less bleeding and segregation. So mixes are much more cohesive and workable. It is a perfect blend of slag and fly ash because silica and lime, they complement each other. And improved rheology, enhanced consistent plastic and hardening properties of concrete are achieved in this cement. It is a continuous generation of CSH gel. So as and when this process goes on, it will go on further reinforcing the exposed concrete structures, and this gel will further make the concrete more impervious and watertight in nature. So for as compared to a OPC or a PPC even, these slag cement or composite cement are lighter in color. So obviously structures built with such lighter colored cements will have a better improved thermal properties vis-a-vis dark colored structures. And high workability we discussed, and enhanced mechanical properties of concrete, yes, offers high compressive strength and caters to all the requirements. So this is on composite cement. Worldwide, if we see, as I told you, this was the code was formulated in 2015 and then launched in 2016. Production started in late 2017 in India. But in other parts of India, this is a very popular blend of cement. In Europe, in Sri Lanka, neighboring countries like Bangladesh, China, and even in Brazil, this is an established category of cement. So there has been a history of tertiary blending, Eurotunnel, Akashi Kayo Bridge, Miami Access Tunnel, everywhere, the mixes were a blend of slag and fly ash. Okay. So this was all about blended cements, and few slides on the latest entrant into this blending cement category, that is composite cement, and few slides on our organization, JK Cement, since I represent JK Cement. So we are very conscious of this fact that we need to be more sustainable and green and promote green architecture. So the emphasis on producing more and more blended variants of cement. Though we produce OPC cements as well in a small quantity, but our base product is JK Super PPC, and we also are producing improved variants of PPC, which is known as JK Super Strong. This is a product in South, and JK Super Strong Weather Shield. This is the premium of PPC, which is present in North India. So these are products with with higher specifications vis-a-vis JK Super. So depending upon the usage, depending upon our requirements, we have a very differentiated product range, and it is up to the consumer to decide. However, all the products in terms of specifications are head and shoulders above the BIS norms. So it can be applied anywhere. JK, all the products have varied applications practically everywhere. And regarding our organization, it is a 125-year-old business organization with not only in cement, but we have a very diversified portfolio in tire, paper, pulp, ready-made apparels, woolen, textile, sugar, food, dairy products, cosmetics. It is an organization with annual turnover in excess of $3 billion, and we have a workforce of around 25,000 strong employees. And in terms of market capitalization, it was one of the most talked about cement companies on a very aggressive growth path. It is the valuation is around 15,000 crores. In terms of revenue, we achieved 6,500 crore revenue last year, and it has been exponential growth also. So this is the journey of JK Cement, starting in 1975 from Nimbahera, then 1979 to 1988. The new line in Nimbahera was put up, added Mangrol, a plant in vicinity in Rajasthan, very near to Nimbahera, in 2001. 2007, again the capacity was enhanced, and Muddapur plant in North Karnataka in South was established in 2009. 2014 again expansion took place in Mangrol, and a grinding unit to cater to our Haryana market. We commissioned a plant in Jhajjar. And then Nimbahera Mangrol expansion took place. Rebranding was done in 2017. And early 2020, our two grinding units, Aligarh in UP and Balasinore in Gujarat, were established. And now we have an upcoming integrated plant in Pamna in Madhya Pradesh, and Hamirpur in grinding unit in Hamirpur in Uttar Pradesh. So we are a 15 million ton company. We'll be reaching 20 million tons very soon. And we are committed to India's growth story. We are present in every project worth its name across the length and breadth of the country. Bullet Train, JK was the first cement to be introduced, endorsed right from the beginning. Then Agra Lucknow Expressway, Eastern Peripheral, Kishan Nagar, National War Memorial, Kaithal, Rajasthan, border project, Mumbai-Goa Expressway. Everywhere we have been supplying cement in the institutional cement category as well. We have been winning awards globally. And apart from grey cement, we enjoy a leadership position also in the white cement category. And yes, we are an organization which cares. We are participating in a lot of social, charitable, healthcare, educational, and religious initiatives across India. So this was all about the organization JK Cement, and I thank you everyone for a very patient hearing. And any questions, most welcome. We have some time. Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Haji, any questions regarding blended cements?
Sir, I would like to ask one question.
Yes, sir.
We are utilizing fly ash content and the slag content into the cement. So as per the IS code, what is the permissible limit and what the cement companies are utilizing to manufacture the cement, that percentage? Please clarify.
Right. PPC, the blending, permissible blending limit is 15 to 35%, lower limit of 15. Less than 15 would translate to, I would say, adulteration. And it should be more than 15 and not above 35%. Many of the countries worldwide, this limit, like in UN standards, it is 50%, and PSTM does not specify any limit in blended cements for blending. But for us, it is 35% is the upper limit. For slag cement, where GGBS is blended, it is 35 to 70%. So less than 35% should it should be more than 35% and not more than should be more than 35% and not more exceed 70% replacement of clinker. Very high percentage of slag is permitted, as I told you earlier, because slag is rich both in lime as well as the silica, and only 35% in case of PPC, Portland Pozzolana cement, because fly ash contains only silica and has a negligible amount of lime in it. Then we have this composite cement where the blending percentage is 65% is the upper limit. 65% is a combination of both fly ash and slag. So 35% of is the upper limit for fly ash, and 50% is the upper limit for slag. But the combined percentage cannot exceed 65%.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other participant, if you have any query, please unmute your mic and directly you can ask. I think, sir, all other queries you have already. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? You can also mail us at across, and we'll try to address that.
Ji, sir, Mr. Govardhan ji need to ask something like.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in the fly ash, we have two categories of fly ash, sir, like class A and class F. So, and even the fly ash will be generated from the various thermal power plant. So, when it comes to the composite cement, we will be blending both the fly ash as well as GGBS. Before the blending, do we perform any experiments on the fly ash and the GGBS quality? So, whether are these metals to be fit or to be rejected or not?
Yes, obviously for every input material tests are conducted. For slag, it has to be rich in lime and the glass content should be more than 90%. And for fly ash, in terms of fineness, the retention on 45 microns has to be not more than 34%. And in terms of lime reactivity, the fly ash should have a value of around 4.5 MPa. So these are the criteria laid down by BIS for test on input material before they are actually consumed.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. I guess other queries we can take on your email, sir, right?
Sure, anytime. Yeah.
Ji. And
thank you so much for having us on this platform, and it was a pleasure. Though it was a one-way presentation, but still. Hoping that we'll also have such seminars and platforms in a physical form where interaction can be much better. I understand the limitations of virtual this thing. We also at JK, we are also very active on this virtual front. Last year and a half, around 18 months into this pandemic and lockdowns, we also conducted around 5,000 virtual workshops for all stakeholders of the construction industry. So we also have been very active, and this is the new way of learning, and we have learned that many things do not require physical presence, can be conducted. Knowledge has no bounds, so can be conducted virtually also. So thank you so much. Hoping to see you soon. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I, Sukhdeep Singh, and Engineer Kundan Kumar Rao, on behalf of Civil Engineering Department, are very much thankful for your kind presence and for delivering a valuable lecture, sir. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And we are also thankful to the participants for patience hearing. Now we will start the next session, session 3 of day 2 at 2:30 p.m. sharp. And the topic for third session will be the new construction technologies for highways, and the lecture will be delivered by the Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Agarwal, Professor of Civil Engineering, GZS CCT MSPT Bhatinda. So have a good lunch. Thank you very much. Now we will again assemble at 2:30 p.m. sharp. Thank you very much.